my own hometown. Stranger.
Howdy folks, Little Johnny, and this week's version of 5 on Friday. Brought to us today the bit of support from the Cougar Black, 90 proof. You've not seen Cougar Black before, so I'll give her a whirl. Anyway, what I'm going to talk about today is just following on a little from last week's 5 on Friday, which was about base malts. There's a bit of wind whistling about today. I can't actually shut the doors. I've got the fuel maker running, and I need the doors open for hoses, so it's whistling a little bit. So sorry about that. But anyway, so as I said, base grains last week, and there was a comment made about doing a follow-up on specialty grains. So for seeing we were on a roll with grains, we might as well go for it. So yeah, grains, obviously they come really in the two kinds, the base and the specialties. The specialty grains are the grains that have been taken and malted longer and kilned longer to get varying degrees of caramelisation and roastiness and different work on the sugars, so they will produce a different flavour, different result into your beer or whatever you're using them in. The biggest difference for the most part is that with your specialty grains, because it's been caramelised as part of the process, there isn't a lot of sugars left in them. There is a video I did quite a while back. It's a messy video, but it is a video about the difference in gravity achieved from specialty and base grains. So it is worth a look. I'll put a link to that up the top. But basically, the specialty grains aren't there to get alcohol and sugars into your mix. That's what your base grains are for. The specialties to provide a range of additional flavours. And those flavours are very wide ranging depending on the actual specialty malt that you're using. Now, they range right through from very lightly kilned, such as things like your carapils, which is a very common specialty to use for home, especially kit brewers. Use that a little bit extra body and a little bit extra for head retention and a bit of smoothness into the brew, to add some character to those kit-based brews, extract brews. And it's the lightest of your crystals. And then you push up, and cara just means it's been caramelised. Same as a crystal, it's just been crystal. It's the same thing, it's just a slightly different wording depending on the origin of the actual grain itself. Now, your caras, there's a whole bunch of, like I said, there's cara pills, there's cara hill, cara red, cara aroma, cara bohemian, cara bloody munich. I was going to print off a list so I could have them all in front of me, but I've not, and there's a whole list, and they range from very lightly coloured, down around that 15 to 20 EBC, right through to, your crystals particularly, up to about 150, 160 EBC. And dead smack in that range, not too far, is the old pale crystal, crystal pale, depending on what you look at, and it's quite often be referred to as a crystal 60. It tends to be American, where they tend to use numbers as opposed to names on their crystals. And it's probably the most commonly used crystal malt or cara malt that's getting around. Because it's not super dark, it doesn't add huge amounts of colour and flavour, but it's got enough that it can take a simple base malt and give it a little bit extra. So if you are a kit brewer, just looking to enhance things like pale ales and a lager and stuff like that, crystal pale can work really well, and you can use it in small amounts and you can push it higher because it's not a real strong. You can use it in a higher quantity. That being said, most crystals in a brew you want to keep between sort of 5 and 20% of the actual grist of the main bill. And again, that varies depending on the brew and the kind of crystal it actually is. Generally speaking, the lighter your brew in colour and flavour, the less that crystal wants to be, and you keep it down around that 5% mark. And as you're working through into your IPH, you can start creeping up around the 10% and into, you start getting into the ambers and golden nails. You can push it, 10 to 15% each, and then you can push even higher. When you're going, obviously, when you're going into your porters and stouts and barley wines and the like, you can really start pushing that crystal a lot more because you need it to get that big body and the oomph and the flavours. Again, it varies on exactly which kind you're using, and that's where we can come into those to the higher end malts. So the Cara Munich, obviously from the name, it's a Munich grain that's been caramelised and is taken a little bit further. So I use quite a lot of Cara Munich. It's probably my second or third most used crystal malt or specialty, because it adds a nice depth and warmth and nice caramel and toffee tones. And you'll find that each malt, each Cara or crystal will add its own degrees of character of flavours. Some will add crisp, some will add coffee, some will add caramel, some will add toffee, some will add biscuity notes. Just depends on the actual grain, and it is very hard to find a good source of information on what a crystal or a specialty will add to your brew. There's mountains of information on hops and flavours and combinations. Specialty malts are a little bit harder to come by. One place that I did use for a lot of my getting a lot of information and helping me up when particularly when I was getting back into the grains, was the Craft Brewer website, Craft Brewer out in Brisbane. Their descriptions are very good, and there's good detail on what each different malt will bring to your brew. So it's a good place, and I refer to it a lot starting out, to go in and go, okay, hang on, I'm after a particular beer. This is the sort of flavour I want to produce. What am I looking to do it? Do I need a Cara Hell? Do I need a Cara Aroma? And I'm better off going with a dark crystal or a medium crystal, or even a roast or a chocolate. So if you are looking to play around and you're not really sure, go and have a look in there. It's a good site. It's just into their shop, like where you'd be buying your grain, and it's got the list and it's all there. Now, I'm not promoting Craft Brewer as a particular place to buy. Craft Brewer are very good. I've never had a problem. I've had good dealings with them over the years. But there's plenty of places you can get your malt. That's a good place for information. And with that information, you can then build your beers. Then you're working on your flavours. Go working through the mix up through your carols and your crystals. You get up into your roasty malts, your darker malts, chocolate. Now, chocolate comes in quite a few ranges depending on where you get it from. There's pale chocolate, there's chocolate, and pale chocolate can be 500 EBC, it can be 1000 EBC depending on where you get it from. So you need to be aware of that when you are buying stuff like that. And there's a massive difference in the flavour between one and the other. Some places their pale chocolate is going to be darker and richer than a lighter. Don't get fooled by the term chocolate. It's not going to give you chocolate flavour. It lends more coffee notes than chocolate. It's more about the colour and the smell of the chocolate. It will give a little bit of chocolate, but not a lot. And then you push into your darker malts, your roasts. So your roast barley, your roasted black barley, black. Again, there's very slight variances between these. They're very similar, but they're all a little bit different. And the way the process goes lends different results. Your carafas, I love a nice bit of carafa in a porter. I prefer to, and special B, I prefer to use a carafa as opposed to a roast barley. And that's a personal preference, and it's to do with the actual flavour of roastiness. I'm not a big fan of roastiness in a beer, and if you want to see know the difference, make up a bloody shot glass with boiling water and drop a couple of grains of each in, let it sit for 10 minutes, then drink it, see the difference. That's not a bad way of playing around with your grains as well, to see what what works and what doesn't, for what sort of flavours you might enjoy. But they're all there. The range of flavours is just so big, and the combinations that you can use. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, and the stuff you're using very minimal amounts. Just as an example, in my recent imperial stout I did for the son's wedding, I used somewhere around 50 grams of like the special B, in a 23 litre batch. For the character it adds, they're intense. Others you can go 100, 300, 400, 800 grams, depending on what it is. But again, the range and the outcome you get is very specific and very unique to each different brewer and the outcome you want in the type of beer you're brewing. So again, I'm going to say it all the time. Play with it, muck around, try stuff, experiment, work out what works for you, work out what doesn't work for you. In the beers that you're brewing. Keep your records, keep a note, go, okay, righto, I've done this brew and I want to try something. Add something a little bit different to it next time. And if it's a brew then you know what the differences are. Or do split batches, do some experimenting, do a little bit of playing around and do some with one, some without. Again, not everyone's got that option, but if you do, try it. But the main thing is, as in all things brewing, try, experiment. See what you can do that's different, and how that affects the beer, and how that works for you. And then you work out, okay, well, I like that flavour, I like where that's going, so I can use more of that. That's more what I'm looking for. And you know what you're looking for going forward, and what the things you want to buy. I can't imagine living in a world where you're just brewing the same beer over and over, and not trying different stuff and not experiencing different flavours. I know plenty of people do it, but I'm not one of them, and I really like to encourage people not to be one of them. But anyway, so it's a very broad look at specialties with no great amount of specific information. There's just too much there to do just doing a short video. So, as always, if you've got any questions, anything more specific you do want to ask, stick it in the comments. I'll get onto it and I'll answer it as best I can. If you haven't subscribed already, hit the button down there, subscribe, so you know when all the videos come up, you keep up to date with what's going on. And that's it. That's me, 5 on Friday for today. I'm going to continue on playing silly buggers here in the garage for the rest of the afternoon. So that's me for the day. So until I see you again, and we're drinking beer, we're talking beer, or we're brewing beer, good brewing.